Hi everyone, it's Dan from Bitrise, and I'm here to give you a quick demo on how Bitrise Release Management helps you deploy your Android apps to the Google Play Store. We start here in the Release Management interface where we already have a pre-configured Android app. For the purposes of this demo, we're going to assume that you've already set up your Android app and connected it to the Google Play Store. Releasing it is a relatively simple process. What we do is click the app, which will take us to the Releases overview. Here we see a list of all of the previous Google Play releases that have been completed or have various statuses. Here we have release 1.0 and 1.1, both of which have been completed. And we are now ready to ship version 1.2. So we're going to add a new app version, which will be version 1.2. We have the ability to add an optional description, which is only used for internal communication. So if you wanted to let the rest of your team know what was accomplished in this release, you can just add it here. So we're going to say that we fixed the big bug. Next up, we have the option to go with a preset or with a blank release. A preset is essentially a template that already has steps that we've pre-configured to make things a bit easier for ourselves. So in the ideal world, we'd be going with a template, and we might perhaps be using our weekly release preset, which has some of the optional steps pre-configured that we like to do on a weekly basis. But to show you the full power of release management, we're going to start with a blank release. So we're going to add this app version, and the first thing we have to do is select the release candidate. Now we have essentially two options here. Release management is natively integrated with the Bitrise CI, so that is the simplest option of all, which is to get your release candidate straight from the CI. So here what you would do is specify your release branch and then your workflow. And then you have the option to select the auto-select, which will automatically choose the latest successful build. So for the sake of simplicity, we're going to go with that. If you're not using the Bitrise CI, you also have the option to upload via API, which involves a quick set of steps that you have to take, which we explain over here. But we're going to assume you like a simple, straightforward life, so we're going to go with the Bitrise CI builds. Now we'll see that since we've auto-selected the latest builds, the latest build has already been chosen. We have the option to overwrite this if we remove this option, but we're just going to go with the automation. This allows us to go to the next step, which is Google Play. Now here we have the option to upload our release candidate to Google Play. So let's go ahead and do that. Now we can see it's uploaded and ready for testing. Bitrise Release Management allows you to share builds with testers before you even come to the store releases in what we call internal build distribution. But we also integrate with the beta testing functionality in Google Play. So here you can see support for all of the testing tracks. So you can send your release candidate for a final check before you deploy to the store. But we're going to assume that you're happy with this and that you're going to move to the next step. This is another optional step, but can really help you make sure that your release processes are smooth. And this is the approval steps. So here what you can do is configure a set of tasks that you believe have to be done before every release. So typically, you might want to have a QA check, and then you might want to have a final product check. What we've essentially done here is prevented us from advancing to the next step because you have to complete the previous stages first. And what you have to do is essentially confirm that these steps have been done, and only then are you able to move on to the release. You can set up as many approvals as you need. You can assign them to specific individuals and even add due dates. So we are now ready to move on to the final and most exciting step of all, which is the release step. We can see there are wonderful app version 1.2 is now ready for release. But before then, we might want to work on some of the metadata. So we might have some release notes that we would like to add. So we're going to add we fixed the bug to our release notes so that all of our users know that we fixed the bug. We also have the option of managing our localization here as well. We have the option to copy your localization across different languages and so on, but we're not going to bother with that right now. We fixed the bug, I think, explains everything we needed to. So we are ready for release. We click Manage Release, and here we're given two options. We have the ability to either do an immediate release, or we can do a staged rollout. A staged rollout is a functionality that we provide that isn't natively provided by Google Play, so it can provide a lot of value to some users. With a staged rollout, what essentially will happen is that over a 7-day period, it will roll out to a specific percentage of users. So on the first day to 1%, on the second day to 2%, all the way to 100% on the 7th day. This is great if you want to kind of mitigate the risks involved in any release, to make sure that if you didn't fix the bug, that not everyone is going to have to worry about a broken app. But we're just going to trust that everything went well and go for a full release of 100%. We're going to start the release, and the release is now in progress. Now we are in the demo environment, so I can cheat a little bit, but eventually what will happen is that your release will be completed and it will be released to all 100% of your users. So this is how you release an Android app using Bitrise Release Management.